So this is a video that I feel like I'm not 100% ready to do yet, but so many people are asking me what I'm doing and what I'm thinking that I feel like now is the time that I need to at least come through and tell you what's going on with me at this point and what I've learned so far. Hi, I'm certified health and certified life coach Lisa Lacasse. I have been a health coach for many years. I've recently become a life coach, and that's because of some changes that I've noticed with me personally. So as a health coach, I have been doing fairly heavy exercise for at least 5 years, and I've been following all the things the industry has taught me about diet, and I wasn't able to get results. I started doing a healthy lifestyle program about a year ago, in which I lost over 50 pounds in a short time, and I've been able to keep it off now for over a year. But it was more of a health style. It wasn't a diet and fitness program. It taught me so much about nutrition, about my body, and I would say the nutrition is what changed most. And we always did know that as far as weight loss goes, the way to weight loss is more important with your nutrition than it is with your fitness. But they kind of go together often, and it's the whole calories in, calories out thing, which I found is not really true. And they really guided me through the nutrition part of that. So I decided, now that I've got that mastered, that I needed to start looking into the fitness part. And the first thing I can tell you is that daily activity is super important, and it's equally important that you're moving throughout the day. So if you're going to get up and do an hour-long workout and then sit in your chair or on the sofa for the rest of the day, that's not the key either. But you want to be moving regularly. I try to get up. I have a desk job at work. I try to get up at least every hour and at least take a little stroll or something. But what I'm finding about fitness is about oxidative stress and what that does to your body. So a lot of the nutrition stuff has to do with your hormones and getting your gut healthy, because your gut is where most of your hormones are produced, not actually in your brain. And when you're doing this hardcore, intense workout kind of thing every single day, it helps you to produce more gut hormones, and a lot of them cause you to be hungry, so you're actually eating more, or you're feeling deprived or not satisfied throughout the day. That's one thing about really intense exercise. But I've been reading a lot online. I've been reading all kinds of books. The latest one I'm reading is, well, I actually finished it, but it's Body by Science, and it's by Doug Guff and John Little. And this isn't like my go-to book, because the majority of it is exercises that they do recommend, and most of them require fitness equipment like you would have in a gym instead of at home. But the beginning part that explains all their theory on exercise is just brilliant. And it starts with talking about how a lot of times people say they want a dancer's body, so they decide to take up dance, or they want a swimmer's body, so they decide to take up swimming, or they decide, whatever it is, you get the idea, gymnast's body. But it doesn't always work that way. Sure, you can develop those specific muscles that are more used in a certain kind of sport or activity. But what happens is, when we're children and 100 kids, let's say, go out for the swim team, and then maybe 80 kids make the swim team, and then of those kids in competition, maybe 60 kids do well, and then of those kids, only 40 kids can get to the next level, and by the time you get to like an Olympic swimmer, there's maybe one, if you're lucky, left. Well, that swimmer has a swimmer's body, but often he excelled because he was born with the genetics to have a swimmer's body that the 100 that started with were not born with. So it's the people that have the bodies that excel in those things. I've known some great ballerinas who were too short, maybe too busty or too voluptuous, let's say, to ever make it as a ballerina. And they never developed a ballerina's body, even though they danced from the time they were small children until they became adults. But the ones who have a certain body type are the ones who are more likely to get cast in the parts and become like lead ballerinas. So we tend to think of ballerina bodies this way or swimmer bodies that way, and they are. But the reason that's who we associate with those is it's kind of backwards from our thinking that if we work to become a swimmer, we're going to have a swimmer's body. It's the better ones tend to be the ones that are born with those bodies. Now, do they work for it? Absolutely. They have to keep training and conditioning and all those good things to build up their stamina and their strength to be world class. But they've already got the basis with their genetics. Another thing is that when man first roamed the earth, the life expectancy was between like 30 and 40 years. So now when you see all these people who are getting hip replacements and knee replacements, it's because our bodies originally didn't last that long. So back in the day, nobody needed that because they didn't live to be the age that those things happen. So when we're doing the kind of physical activity, whether it's very intense running or very intense, I don't know, whatever it is, our bodies break down over time. So that being said, what kind of exercise you should do and how much of it and at what intensity is really varying to your goals. If you want to be an Olympic marathoner, that's fantastic. And yes, then you're going to have to run those big long runs every single day. But if you want to be, a housewife that has a job as a teacher, you probably don't have to be marathoning and you can still be fit and healthy. So you really have to base your exercise, everything, the type, the amount, the time on what your goals are. And I really do believe that we were not created to do these extreme things on a daily basis. Now I'm going to tell you, probably once a week, I like to do something very extreme because I don't want to lose the ability to do it. And I do see the benefits of it. There's so many benefits of exercise, but a lot of them I can get and you can get without being quite at that level. Another thing is that when we fully work out at a high intensity, we release a lot of oxidative stress. And things that we eat in our diets that are antioxidants actually help to balance that out. And you may know people who were very hardcore runners, let's say for 20 or 30 years. And a lot of times, and I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody. This isn't everybody, and I'm not talking about you if you're watching this. But a lot of times people who do those very intense runnings or whatever for a long period of time will look older. And it's because their antioxidants are not at a level that's high enough to fight their oxidative stress. So this is putting extra stress on their organs. It's putting extra stress on their skin. Well, your skin is an organ. And, that's one of the reasons why they may look older. So, I guess what I'm getting at, the bottom line is I do no longer very intense exercises every single day. I try to do it once a week. I do yoga or strength training just about every day, probably 6 days a week at least. And I'll take a rest day or, like I said, do like a high intense cardio, whatever. And I'm finding that that's worked for me. That has really worked for me. And I'm also finding that I have not lost any of my abilities. I can still lift as heavy of a weight. I can still run as fast. I can still do my burpees. I'm as flexible. So I'm hoping that answers your questions. And I really think the most important part of all of it is to stay active all the time. Don't ever sit and you can sleep for 8 hours. That's okay. But don't ever just sit in your chair all day long. Even if you're Netflix binging, try to get up between episodes or whatever and move. So hopefully that will help you to understand when I'm talking about oxidative stress and not working as intensely. And I would love to answer any more specific questions that you might have. And like I said, I'm just starting out on this journey. I have a lot to learn. Ever since I started with my nutritional healthy lifestyle, I've learned that the media and society doesn't always tell us the scientific facts. They tell us what works for them, what's easiest for the majority of people, and what sells. So sorry to say that, but it's true. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining me. If you would, please subscribe down below and ring the bell to be notified when something new is released.